Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today for our video series on the Oracle Primavera Cloud. My name is Brian Chris with DR McNatty, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at the risk management capabilities found within OPC. For those of you who are just now learning about the Primavera Cloud, it is the latest enterprise solution from Oracle that allows organizations to manage projects, portfolios, and programs in one convenient location. At the project level, OPC offers apps available here on the left-hand side, as we can see in these examples. The apps will provide features for management of resources, scheduling, lean tasks, risks, and cost and funds. And today we're going to be taking a closer look at the risk management capabilities. So let's start off by taking a look at the project risk register. Here we can see on the left-hand side, I've got the risks anticipated for the project noted, and to the right, we have our probability, cost impacts, and schedule impacts for the given risk. And from those, we get our score, which will give us our qualitative risk analysis that we can use to prioritize and score the risks on the project. In the details for a given risk, we have a number of tabs down below. The General tab will allow me to enter in basic information such as who may be the manager or a date identified for a given risk. The risk details allow me to type in some narrative text related to the cause, description, and effect of the risk. I have my tabs for probability, cost, and schedule impacts. The activities, these will allow me to relate a given risk to an activity in my project schedule. And finally, I've got codes which I can assign to risks so that I may use these to group, filter, or do different types of analysis at an aggregate level for the risks associated, say, for example, with a program. Going back here to the schedule impact, I want to show one of the features in OPC that can be beneficial. We have this box here, you'll notice, that says override schedule threshold. If the thresholds that I've established in my scoring matrix are not in line with a given risk, or they're not proportional, for example. In this example, the scoring matrix for schedule impact goes in range from 1 to 7 at the low end to 14 to 20 days at the high end. If these are anticipated to be exceeded by a safety risk, I can choose to overwrite the threshold and then choose whether I would like this to be a triangle, uniform, which is just minimum and maximum, or a single point. And I can use any one of these methods to estimate the impact for this risk. And this will not do anything to change my scoring matrix. It simply allows me to provide a greater level of accuracy towards the thresholds for the safety risk in this example. The other option I have here is to define by activity. So we saw earlier that there are a few activities assigned to this risk. Within the schedule impact, by choosing define by activity, I can choose to put in an estimate for a specific activity here, or I can choose any one of these to use a single point and type in the value that is most appropriate. So this is going to allow me a greater level of accuracy in assessing the potential impacts of a given risk. The other thing I want to point out down here in my schedule impact, as you'll see to the right, we have a button here that says respond. And so when I check this box, I can input a new values for a post response. So for any given risk, we have response actions. And so for this one, for safety, I've put in some potential mitigation measures that we might use to lessen the impact of the risk. And once these are implemented, I can then have a different threshold for my impact. So what was maybe a 15 to 90 day has been reduced down maybe to no impact, or maybe a maximum of 21. And these values will be used when we run our risk analysis. Within my risk register up here, we have a little icon for our settings that's going to allow me to customize the view by adding different or changing the columns and having options for filtering, grouping, and sorting. And you can see over here, I have a number of layouts that have been saved that I may use to show, say, a more colorful representation of our thresholds. I can look at the cost breakdown structure as well as the risk breakdown structure that I've assigned to these. Or maybe I want to do a comparison between my pre-response and my post-response. And this can be an effective way to do an analysis of what do we expect that we need to do to a given risk to potentially mitigate that, and also maybe what will that cost. So now we've entered in our risk data and we've completed our qualitative risk assessment. Now we want to go a little deeper and look at a more quantitative risk analysis. And OPC offers the full simulation capabilities of a quantitative risk analysis by selecting the option to run risk analysis. And then we can see some of the advanced options that are available to be selected. There's a number of pick lists here to choose from. And once you have selected the proper picks for your analysis, go ahead and you click Run the Risk Analysis. And once that analysis completes, you can go to the Risk Analysis tab and view the results. Here we can see a distribution looking at the finish date. On the right, I have my statistics. I can look at information related to cost. I can assess the mean impacts and show the contribution breakdown based on activities, as well as the risk removal impact. So all of these results can come from once we have entered in our risk data, run the risk analysis, and we can do the Monte Carlo simulations to see what our project's probability is of meeting the schedule. We can look at the optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic views of the information. I want to move over now and look at the cost sheet for our transmission project. I had mentioned earlier in the general tab for a given risk, we can associate a risk with our cost breakdown structure for the overall project. And when I do, I can see here's an example of I've added some columns. We see the current budget for the project, but we also see the potential exposure that's been calculated for our pre-response and post-response. And by having these columns here, automatically gives me a way to more tightly integrate my risk profile and the potential costs that it brings with my current budget, along with any actuals, forecast, estimates to completion. This will allow my cost sheet for the project to have a more complete picture and not only capture what we know as costs, but also help us determine, do we have the proper contingencies available for the project given the risk profile that we have for the project. One of the things OPC does that is unique is it also allows me to establish a risk register at a program level. So here I've moved away from a single project and now I'm looking at an electric program that I have set up consisting of multiple projects. And here I can see I have a unique set of risks that maybe exist at a higher level. In this example, the program level, I have a probability, schedule, and cost impacts. And you can see these thresholds are substantially different than maybe what we viewed at the project level. But I can still utilize these to do a more qualitative risk assessment of my risk profile at a program level. And I can also utilize the coding structures to give myself more views of the information. So here are the risks that we see for a given program, but I can also look at a project level. And this is going to allow me to not only see the program risks that we have established up here at the top, but I can now see the risk register for each project contained in the electric program. So we have distribution projects, we have transmission projects. Here's the ones that we were looking at previously. And I can see at a program level the aggregate of all of the risk registers within the program. And this is where, if you can imagine, if I use the metadata such as coding and cost breakdown structure, I can go to my settings here and create different views and layouts that are going to help me analyze and manage this work and more effectively communicate it towards others. So that gives you a little preview of how the risks are managed at a program level in OPC. I want to go back to our transmission project risk register and look at One risk we skipped over here, you might have noticed it looks a little bit different, but this is a risk that has a unique risk type for weather. And this is a new feature in OPC that allows me to utilize not just threats or opportunity, but a weather risk. And as you'll see, weather risks do not have a schedule impact or cost impact or probability, but rather the way we manage a weather risk is we highlight or select the weather tab. And here I can put in a period, and in this example, I've entered hurricane season. And I've put a start from June and an end of August. And here are the minimum, maximum, and most likely days that weather may be a factor. And so I can enter this information in. I can look at the distribution such as a triangle like we have here, or I could utilize a percentage of time if that's what I wanted to do. Once I've selected how I want to establish my thresholds, I can click on the probabilistic weather calendar, and here we can see for the months of June, July, and August, the impacts of the thresholds that we entered in for our hurricane season. So that's going to wrap up our look at the Oracle Primavera Cloud and the risk application. I appreciate you listening in today. If you'd like to learn more about the services offered by DR McNatty, or like to learn more information about Primavera Cloud, please feel free to contact me at the email address listed, or connect with me on LinkedIn, or just visit our website at www.drmcnatty.com.